So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Lisa to call roll and we'll get started.
Yes. Roll call. Commissioner Markley.
Here.
Commissioner McKiernan is absent. Commissioner Townsend.
Here.
Commissioner Bynum.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
All right, thanks everyone. As you know, our agenda is a little different today. We're actually going to see a preview of the presentation that will come before Standing Committee on Monday. That presentation is to present the final list of awardees that we have wheedled down over months of effort within this committee. So we're going to get a preview of that. Some of you are on that Standing Committee. You'll get a double dose on Monday. And if there are suggestions, obviously, or changes, this would be the time to voice those. And then we'll just kind of lay out the schedule going forward for moving those applications along. So I think Ms. Hand is here to give us that preview.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, Commissioner. I am actually in transit right now. That I might not be able to do that.
Okay. Well, let me see.
The presentation is on our shared team page. However, if somebody else would like to open that up, I can certainly happy to walk you through it.
Let me find it. Give me a minute. I'm getting there. Sorry, guys. I didn't have my Teams open. I've got it up, Commissioner. Great. That's super. You want to just share it?
Is everybody seeing it? It says I'm screen sharing. Okay.
Yes. Then I don't know, Erica, if I can click forward or you have to, but all right, so this is our vision that we started with when we were meeting as a full commission before we broke off into this committee. So this first slide outlines what that full commission set out as our vision for these pandemic related funds. And then these are the three buckets, again, that came from the full commission discussion before we split into this committee, telling us again, just direction of where to head and some sort of sub goals that came out of that discussion as well. And then this goes over those immediate needs and other expenditures that we made prior to providing the funding set out for these applicants. So just to kind of update everybody on where we are financially. And then this walks through the timeline, all the stuff that we have been doing in the interim since we put this committee together, and then, well, since we first met with the commission, and then moving forward to today. As you guys know, it's been quite a long haul, and I specifically wanted to share that information so that people understood just how long of a process it's been to get to the point we're at today. And then Erica and her team categorized our applications to help give us an idea of how they fit into those goal buckets. And so this pie chart shows how the awardees that we're proposing fit into the buckets that Erica's team created. And then we can look back and see how those fit into our goal buckets. Housing obviously was a heavy focus, both for the goal buckets and in the final awards. So I think that's positive that there's a nice match there. And then this is our list of proposed awards. This came out of our last meeting together. You guys did the homework. Last time we were together, we finalized that list, and that's what's being put forward. It's multi-pager. And then Ashley just kind of broke this out again into those sort of categories so you could see more detail about the individual applications based on the category designation. That's it. That's what we're planning on presenting on Monday, and then obviously that'll be up for vote to move forward and through to the full commission. Thoughts on the presentation, on whether there's anything else we want the commission to know?
I think it would be good that we make it very, very clear and perhaps have a slide that says that all of the money has not been allocated. And I know it's in there, kind of in those numbers, but I think we need to make it very, very clear this is not the end, and that we are going to go back and reconsider some of the other projects that are not funded. So no, the folks that are currently being funded are not eligible for more funding, right?
Right.
And we are going to go back and pull from some of those other applications. So there will be more awardees.
Okay, so just, and I don't even know if I don't know how far we want to go in making that statement, but I think we can make clear that there's the $3.1 million remaining to be allocated. Commissioner Bynum?
I just wanted to tag on to that comment. I'm not 100% certain. I'm not arguing the point at all. That would be my hope as well. That with the remaining ARPA funds not allocated, that we certainly look a little deeper and certainly use the pool of applications that are in front of us. I just don't know, did we reach that as a consensus matter last time we met? Maybe we did. I'm not saying we didn't. I'm willing to pursue that. I'm willing to continue serving in this capacity to look at that. And maybe today's not the day, but I want to return to the notion of the housing trust fund and, revisit the feasibility of a portion of that money being set aside for a housing trust fund, knowing that there's a deadline for use. And Erica, you may have to remind us again what the deadline is for use of the ARPA funds, because we would then need to, fairly quickly convene whatever group would be determining use of those housing trust funds.
Yeah, I think just to clarify what we decided the last meeting, I think all we decided for certain was that we weren't spending that 3.1 million yet. So that's where we are. We know that 3.1 million is remaining. And that there was this discussion that the housing was a focus. I do think that the challenge is, as Commissioner Bynum stated, the challenge is that deadline, and if we're setting aside money for housing, that's great, but we have to move pretty quickly if we're going to meet the deadline to identify what that programming might look like and where it might go. And if we don't think we can meet that deadline in a timely manner, that's probably even more reason to look back at the remaining applications and potentially award some that way. So I think, like I said, all we decided, I think, as a committee was that we weren't spending that 3.1 million yet. But I think it's certainly worth pointing that out as part of the discussion.
And to quickly chime in here, if I'm not mistaken, I thought the plan was we would look at the rest of revenue replacement for the housing conversation so that we would not have to deal with the timeline aspect. If we're using revenue replacement, as I understand it, we do not have to abide by the 2024 deadline. So we could take our time with that housing trust conversation. I'm right there with you, Commissioner Bynum. I just thought we were thinking pull from a different source of money. That way we have more freedom and use the rest of the $3.1 million to pull from the other applications. If I am misremembering, someone please clarify.
I did bring that up as a possibility. I think obviously we gotta do some massaging of whatever concept we're coming up with. We've got to figure that out, but definitely to bring that up as a possibility.
So I would just say it's Commissioner Bynum that I'm willing to continue working through this process to help deal with remaining funds. And if we think there are other entities or voices that we need to hear from, that's fine with me as well.
Okay, Commissioner Townsend?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to commend, guess it was Ms. Hupkin, her team who put this together. I particularly am glad that she captured the different pots and the voices of the community's input as to where they wanted to see that money go, and then to show from what will be presented Monday night, what the committee is moving forward Monday night on, how much by percentage of what we're proposing, the committee's proposing, went to those areas. I think that's great. My recollection about the 3 points, it was similar to yours, Chair. There was a lot of discussion. I remembered commenting though, why are we going back? Did we just run out of time? Why didn't we allocate from the list of the candidates before, if we're going back to that? I was thinking that we were going to use, what is the number now? I took down 3.1 and some change million from the last meeting. It may be different. I couldn't see at the bottom clearly enough how much we have
That is,
left.
yeah, that's the unallocated portion, assuming this whole set of
Okay.
applications is approved is roughly 3.1 million.
Okay, so you've got roughly 3.1 million here. And then with regard to the funds that are sitting in the general bank, for lack of a better word, I can't get it.
The
How
revenue
much-
replacement,
Revenue replacement, how much is that approximately? Is it in the $6-7 million category?
I don't know if I have that handy.
Okay,
I could be wrong,
No,
but if I'm not
Erica might know.
it was $3.5 million because we started off with 7 and then we spent 3.5 million to open or to kind of do an emergency.
oh, the bridge.
and
Okay,
now split it, so it'd be 3.5.
okay, okay. And I do recall that conversation. Boy, a lot can happen in 2-3 weeks, Commissioner Davis, where we discussed the restrictions if money is solely revenue replacement that no longer apply with that same time deadline if we're taking the money from still ARPA money, but has been cleansed or changed, so to speak, now that it's in the general fund coffers. But for those who may be listening and care Monday night about the issue of the housing trust, I hope we can say that's still an open issue, wherever that comes from. That's okay, Miss Erica, I see it, that's fine. I know it's in there somewhere, thank you. I would not be a whole lot more specific though in, numbers or anything like that, but enough to know, to let those concerned citizens know that just because whatever the number of applications are that the committee is putting forward Monday night is not the end.
Yeah, and I think part of the idea of keeping that 3.1 million was just to allow us the flexibility. If we end up using revenue replacement, maybe we award it applicants. If we end up using that 3.1 million, then the revenue replacement goes somewhere else. I just don't think, I don't think we felt like we knew enough to make that decision, and that's still the case. So
Okay,
it's
okay.
a tool in our
So,
pocket.
okay, so assuming we move forward with the 3.1 million and look at remaining applicants. We've already got the pool. We don't need, in my opinion, to search anywhere else outside of the pool remaining of those applications. Will we use the same type of, and this may already have been done, but the same type of approach with scalability, using the median, averages and that kind of thing, just as we did with this first group?
I'm guessing so, but I don't think
Okay.
I don't think we're anywhere near the point of having that
Okay.
discussion.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess suffice it to say, if we go back, long as we use the same,
Right.
criteria.
Apples to apples, yeah.
That makes apples to apples, or seasonally pumpkins to pumpkins, whatever you want to do, that would make sense. Yeah, but just to let people know, the issue of the housing trust is not dead. Thanks to Miss Erica, Miss Gwen, I asked them to send me the written presentation or the written form that was shared with this committee months ago. It's amazing how fast time has gone. And that was very helpful. So thank you.
Thanks. And Eric, I was just noting in the chat that if we spend all that revenue replacement down, we don't have any dollars to match for grant money. And that was the hopeful purpose of keeping some of that revenue replacement. Obviously, we didn't intend to have to spend that on a bridge.
Oh,
Really avoid, but that's something to keep in mind, is if we spend the revenue replacement, it's going to hamper our ability to apply for grants that require a match, and most of them do require some kind of match for infrastructure grants. So just something to keep in the back of our minds for a later discussion. Commissioner Bynum?
Thanks. A couple of things. I too would appreciate having the data that had been collected in the presentation on the housing trust sent to me again. It was probably given to me, but giving it to me again would be very helpful. And I was just curious if we could scroll through the Monday presentation slides one more time and just kind of slowly look at them together. Well, let's see here. 3 of the 5 of us don't serve on this committee. So that's an interesting, aspect of Monday night, is that you have commissioners not involved in this process that are going to make a vote to move this forward or not. Hopefully, Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Townsend, you can be present Monday night. I imagine that you were planning to be present anyway. There will be questions from folks who, weren't as deeply engaged in this as we were. That's really the only comment that I wanted to make. But as we scroll through here, reminding folks that at standing committee, we take public comment on our agenda items. So that is the place where public comment is going to be taken.
question. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if Commissioner Bynum was good.
I am, thank you.
I'm sorry. What time will this be on the agenda? Is this the 5 o'clock meeting, or will it be the meeting immediately following?
It's the one immediately following.
Okay.
But I don't know that our agenda is super long, Commissioner.
Okay.
Bynum. I seem to recall it being a fairly brief agenda other than this for both
Right.
groups. So it
Okay.
probably won't be too far into the meeting.
Okay. I do plan to attend and support.
The only other comment I would make is that Erica and whatever staff is available, we need you present, again, for purposes of helping not only the other commissioners, but anyone else that might step forward with a question to answer those questions. There were quite a few federal rules involved in, as we got started. And you all remember that we dealt with issues such as certain applications that didn't qualify for this or the other reason. And we may just, we just need to be ready and prepared to answer the questions about eligibility and the other components of how the decision-making process was arrived at. So thanks.
Thanks. And yeah, one thing that isn't addressed specifically in the slides, but that maybe I'll just address. Ashley, give me a minute when she's presenting during standing committee. I'll just address during the timeline is I do want to make it clear to folks sort of the process that we went through in first getting all the applications, Erica's team evaluating whether they met the requirements or not, us deciding we weren't going to consider those that didn't meet the requirements, going through and making that cut down by half of the ones that we thought were in that top half, and then the process we went through of ranking all of those remaining applications, because I think it's important for people to remember, we didn't just sort of go through and pick one here and one there. We went through an extensive process of narrowing down a larger list to get to this point. So I'll try to address that during the presentation, or Ashley may have already been planning to address that herself, but I think it is important for people to understand the process that we went through, and that it wasn't just like we all just drew names from a bucket or something like that, that we went through a process to come up with the list that we ended up with.
The other thing I would add, Jerry, is, we had I thought, one of the best public engagement processes for this particular program. That was hybrid, that was collaborative. I thought it was amazing. Now, whether or not enough folks showed up or knew about it to show up is kind of another deal. But we went off of the data that we were given and the multiple final rules that the Department of Treasury, that's not us, it's the federal government, the rules that they put in. The sad thing about this is that we do not have $84 million. That's just, it is what it is. And so that does mean that there are going to be applications that go unfunded this time. And it's unfortunate, but I do think we tried our best, given the various perspectives that we all have, to come up with at least a first round of funding. So, yeah.
Thanks, Commissioner. Yeah, I do think it's just important to share with anybody who hasn't been sitting in every meeting what that process looked like. Commissioner Bynum, did you have something else, or you just didn't get your hand down? She says she's done. Ashley.
Good morning, good afternoon. Just wanted to ask if you felt it would be important to include the slide that we had previously created, which showed the various ARPA allocations across the jurisdictions across the county. I know there's a lot of questions about geography and distribution of these funds in general, and we had been providing that information just to kind of show that the school districts got their own funds, and just kind of what that breakdown. If you would like, please let me know if you'd like me to re-include that slide in this presentation.
I would. It's Commissioner Bynum.
Yep, I see some thumbs up, so I think that would be valuable.
Consider it done.
All right. Any questions on anything we've scrolled through thus far? We'll just keep scrolling if not. And I will say, obviously some of these categories there are several applications that probably could have fallen into multiple categories, and Erica and her team did their best to decide where everything should fall, even though some of the applications probably could have fallen in multiple categories. We're just doing the best we can to pick one.
I have a question here, Madam Chairman, on the slide. Do the percentages shown there equate to the total of applications, the nature of the applications, or is this a reflection by percentage of where the proposed expenditures that are going to be presented Monday night fall?
I believe this is the proposed expenditures. So this is
Okay.
where we're planning on spending the money.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on that one? Okay. Let's scroll ahead. This is our list.
And 19 is not accurate. That's going to be changed.
Okay. Oh, and it does, yeah, the 3 million in ARPA funds remain for future allocation. So that's in there. We may just want to highlight it out loud during the presentation.
This is Commissioner Townsend. The 19 will be changed to what? Proposing 19 awards, that number will be changed to what?
Is it 23rd?
It's 29.
I was gonna say-
29 awards.
Yeah, so on the first initial, when we did the cutoff, it was 19 based on the number of votes that we had. And then when we brought in the special projects, it added another 10.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
The wild cards, yeah, okay. So yeah, and then this again, this is the multi-pager, so it's on this page and then goes on to the next one. Any questions on the list? All right, let's keep scrolling. And again, this is just another way of categorizing the same information with some additional detail. These are all the housing related awards, which I'm proud of this. This was a focus for the commission. This was a focus in our community outreach. And we awarded the bulk of the funds to that area. So I think that shows that we heard and answered the needs of the commission and the community.
I have a question for Erica. What was in, or do you have a summary for the final rule of what changes the Treasury Department released using these funds?
I don't have a summary document for the final rule, but I do have the final rule and then the newest housing recommendation that they put forward after we were mid-process.
Okay. Were there any census tract mandates that were added or that we still need to be aware of as far as how these funds are allocated?
It's it has to be based on the type of justification. So if we had to use the framework, meaning it was not an outright enumerated use of the funds, then we did have to ensure that it impacted or was in service of those that are disproportionately impacted communities as defined by the Treasury. So long answer is yes, for some projects.
Okay, and how do we define that? Is it the location of the organization and whether or not they're in a qualified census tract, or is it the way that the programs or the homes that are built or how the resources are spent, that those have to be in a qualified census tract?
We viewed it from the perspective of where the work was going to be done. So if it was going to be done in a community center that is within a disadvantaged community or one of the disproportionately impacted groups, that we would consider that to meet the need because it's targeted towards that population. Otherwise, if it was in an area outside of those that are within the disproportionately impacted communities, if they were in service of, meaning that they would transport people to, or it was to, like the work would be done at, let's say, a warehouse or something, they would need to bring food into these areas, as long as they were able to make that connection to those that are being served, are those that qualify as a disproportionately impacted, then that would also work. However, the important things for applicants to be aware of is that they will also need to keep records to prove that those are the community members that they are serving, that the work that they are doing and using these dollars for are meeting that need as defined by the Treasury.
So for clarification, I think you hinted on something. There will be a reporting process with these dollars, and in which the recipients will have to verify that whatever programs, whatever projects, we have folks that saying that they want to build homes, they will have to show that the money that we are giving them is used in qualifying census tracts. Is that correct?
Yes. They'll have to
Thank
show how the money was spent on what, and that it qualifies under the Treasury guidance for ARPA dollars. And also we'll update these last few slides. I noticed that some of the numbers were taken from a different column. And so we'll get these updated to make sure that they match the approved award amounts that are in the summary tables above.
Yeah, I think these were the requested amounts.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right, any other questions on this slide? Next one. Questions on this? All right, next one. Well, this is one of those where I looked at it and thought these things could have fallen into other categories. I mean, they're infrastructure projects, but they're also recreation related. So there's always a little bit of crossover in how we're seeing these applications, but. Questions? Commissioner Bynum?
I don't know, Erica or Ashley, if either of you have the slide handy with the allocations to the other entities. And if you don't, it's not a problem, but I think we may have been the only entity that received these funds that opened a window for outside entities to request some of the funding. I mean, I don't know that the other entities that received funds did that. And the reason I'm saying that is because I keep pondering, we certainly hope and pray that we don't have another pandemic. But between the CARES Act, which was the first round, that was also very rapid fire in terms of the timeline they had originally given us and the amount of time with which we dispensed a large amount of that money into the community. And now ARPA, or its other acronym, which I forget, state and local recovery funds, I guess. This is an unprecedented time of funding upwards of $25 million of cash directly into this community, into the hands of folks who are working day in and day out. And it's not that you want a pandemic. We don't. I don't know that any amount of funds actually captures or helps mitigate all the damage that was done to our Wyandotte County community that continues to be done even today. But I'm sharing this with my fellow committee members because I am struck regularly by this unprecedented amount of millions of dollars that the unified government has had the great fortune to be able to put directly into our community. So I just don't know that any of the other entities that were awarded funds had that opportunity. So thank you.
And I think that's a great point, Commissioner. I think it's easy to be frustrated that we didn't have enough money to do all the things we wanted to. We didn't have enough money to give, give all of these applications the funding that we would have liked to. We had way more applications than we could touch, but to recall that we're lucky to have this opportunity at all, I think is important. That this is, probably maybe a once in a lifetime, or maybe at least a once in a lifetime for these organizations. It's a pretty special deal. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, just quick question. If it's possible for us to get a small excerpt for Toolbox, that would be great. This was one of my wild cards. So I'm rather passionate about this, and I think the return on investment will be very, very nice for the unified government. Yeah, if we can work on that, that'd be great. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Any questions on this one? All right. On to the next. That's it. And I will say that health and wellness one grouped in several sets of applications there that are labeled separately on our spreadsheet. So Family Conservancy was labeled as childcare, which is something that had been important to particularly the public engagement group that we met with. So that was kind of lumped in here. And then Hillcrest Ministries has a mental health aspect and have been labeled as mental health on our spreadsheet, which is another area we got a lot of attention during our public session on. But they're all sort of lumped together into this category here, which I think is fine. I mean, they are health and wellness items, but I just wanted to point that out because those were two that came forward in our public session. There are applications for two areas that we found important and that were important to that public group that we met with that did get funded. They just don't necessarily have that label in this setting. All right. Crew, other questions about the presentation or anything that you think should be addressed differently or added, subtracted? Good. With this moving forward to standing committee. And then presumably a similar presentation will happen at full commission, assuming you move out of that standing committee without issue. All right, team. Anything else? What else do we want to try to address? I had a window here somewhere with our technical agenda, but I really think so. Monday at Administration Human Services is this presentation. As we discussed earlier, it looks like both of our agendas that night, other than this item, are pretty brief. So probably the 5 p.m. will go pretty quickly. We'll roll it right into Administration Human Services. So probably if you want to see this presentation, don't get there too far after 5:15 or 5:20 because we may not have much to cover before we get to this item. And then it'll go on to full commission. Go ahead, Commissioner Bynum.
Just to circle back around one more time, with the funds that remain, it may or may not be our decision.
Right.
I don't know, how moving forward, but I think at standing committee, Commissioner Markley, we certainly should put forward a recommendation of what next steps could be for the remaining allocation of funds, if that makes sense. You know, there's something to be said for keeping this subcommittee together, since we've been the ones most deeply engaged with the rules, the applications themselves. But I just think maybe we shouldn't just toss that into the wind and say, well, someday, you know, I think
Right.
we should
No.
bring something that says, here's our recommendation for how
And
to.
especially given the timeline and the fact that this committee's already sort of dug in and we need to figure out how we're going to spend that remaining money pretty quickly. I think my recommendation, we discussed this a little bit last time, that everybody was willing to continue to serve. I think it's fair to recommend that this committee continue to move toward resolution of what's going to happen with that remaining $3.1 million. That, and then we'll make we'll go through a similar process of bringing that recommendation to standing committee for approval by the full commission. Commissioner Townsend.
Well, I think you just answered my question. I was under the impression when we talked earlier, a few minutes ago, that it was going to be made clear that this is just a portion and that the committee's work continues. So,
Yep.
if that's made clear, it's just, I don't know what other recommendations are needed, but
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Davis.
I know we have the $3.1 million or $3 million that we need to, that's left to allocate, and then we need to decide what we want to do with the remaining revenue replacement. Kind of, we have matching grants on one end, and then we also have the possibility of putting some starter money in a housing trust fund. I think it would be really cool if, after we've figured out we've divvied out the remaining $3 million for the applications, if we turned our attention towards that affordable housing conversation, regardless of how much money we come up with. We as commissioners make the ultimate decision. I know there are a lot of work groups and a lot of folks having those conversations, but it might be a good idea maybe in 2023 to have this committee be the place where those conversations collide and where we can really start making some clear decisions on policy direction for staff and where we're going as a community. We have a lot of nonprofits looking at it, a lot of task force looking at it. None of them have resources. We actually have some resources and, quite frankly, the final say or part of the final say on whether or not we do anything for an affordable housing trust fund. So that would be my recommendation, is we kind of figure out what we're going to do with the remaining money. And then if we can bring in folks from Churches United for Justice, if we can bring in representatives from the various housing, folks from CHIP, folks from the mayor's unhoused committee, I think it would be great to just get all these folks in the room and then have a real conversation on how we're going to move forward.
Okay. I think that kind of brings us to the next question, which is what happens for us. Lisa's already on it. She says we can meet on Halloween, folks, at 1 p.m. She's checking our calendars. Seems appropriate. I think that next conversation for us is about how that 3.1 million gets spent, and or how that housing issue gets addressed. I don't know that I have a real tight agenda for that. I'm going to do some working around and seeing how I can kind of help us to bring that. I mean, we've had a lot of discussion about the housing trust fund and a fair amount of discussion about just how we want to spend money on housing in general. I'll try to do a little legwork and see if we can try to begin to bring those ideas to something more solid, because we want to spend money on housing isn't really solid enough to get us to where we need to be to actually allocate those funds. So I'll do a little work, but I think that's the focus of that agenda, assuming that we don't have issues at standing committee. We will focus our time on October 31st on trying to figure out what the next step is for that 3.1 million. And if it's not going to be housing related, how do we dive back into the applications that are remaining, or is that the route we want to go? And if it is going to be housing related, how do we move that along quickly enough to meet those deadlines? I think those are really the sort of immediate questions we need to answer. Good. All right, well, then I'll see many of you Monday at standing committee. If in the meantime you have any questions or concerns about the presentation we're going to put together, let Ashley and I think know, and we'll go from there. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.